everyone. Visual arts. Visual arts is like a sculpture, printmaking, photography, installation art. These are the arts that meet the eye and evoke emotion through an expression of skill and imagination. Letras de figuras is the example of visual arts. It's a term used to describe 19th century Philippine style painting. It involved the imaginative arrangement of objects, figures to form letters of the alphabet. Like miniaturismo, it became popular from the 1840s onwards among affluent Filipino families, individuals who commissioned artists to execute and immortalize their names. And letras figuras, signifying membership in Ilustrado or upper class. Jose Honorato Lozano of Sampaloc, Manila, more popularly known as Pepeng, is the earliest known Filipino painter in this style. The origin of letras de figuras as a style can be traced back to the art book illustration in Europe in Middle Age. The style was introduced in the Philippines by religious missionaries, perhaps to elicit interest in reading and writing among the faithful. Letras de figuras paintings also provide rich panorama of Philippine scene in 1850s. It is contained the everyday life in Pasig River, cockfights, newly constructed building, and monuments of the city for the last decades of Spanish regime. And that's all. Thank you.
A film, also known as a movie or a motion picture, it is a series of moving images shown on a screen, usually with sound that make up a story. Film is more commonly used by those who work in the motion picture industry. It consists of moving pictures that have been recorded so that they can be shown at the cinema or on television. A film tells a story or shows a real situation. Ang pinakaunang film po dito sa Pilipinas ay ang Dalagang Bukid. Dalagang Bukid is a 1919 silent film directed by Jose Nepomuceno. It is the first Filipino feature film to be locally produced in the Philippines.
A good day to everyone, it's Legend Olea, and this time, let's talk about the performance art. What does it mean and when it originally started? Performance art. Performance art is an artwork or art exhibition created through actions executed by the artist or other participants. It may be witnessed live or through documentation, spontaneously developed or written. So, typically, it is a time-based art form that features a live presentation to an audience or to onlookers. An example of this is an acting, poetry, music, dance, and painting. Furthermore, performance art, also known as artistic action, arose in the early 1970s as a general term for a multitude of activities, and later embraced a wide variety of styles, including the life experiences of the artists themselves, social criticism, and even a spirit of transformation. And for you to understand, here is the example of the performance art. La Loba Negra, or The Black She-Wolf, is an opera in 3 acts by Francisco Feliciano and was based on a novel attributed to Jose Burgos. And it tells the story of Governor General Francisco Bustamante and his subsequent assassination and the revenge of his wife, Luisa, now called La Loba Negra after the death of her husband. Additionally, the work was premiered in 1984 at the Cultural Center of the Philippines, with the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra conducted by the composer, and it was acclaimed by critics as an extraordinary work of the 1980s. And the last production was in 1985 with the same cast and venue.
Art of architecture presented as the art and science of designing buildings and structures. Profession of designing buildings, open areas, communities, and other artificial constructions and environments, usually with some regard to aesthetic effect. Architecture often includes design or selection of furnishings and decorations, supervision of construction of work, and the examination, restoration, or remodeling of existing buildings. The history of architecture is about as long as the history of humanity itself. One of its most interesting aspects is the capacity to reflect the spirit of time, would help us understand the evolution of architecture and our past without using any words. Example of an art. Intramuros fortification was designed as a trapezoidal layout located on a wedge formed by the sea and the Pasig River. Intramuros was rebuilt with the Spanish colonial style. Numerous architects, urban planners, and professors are critical of the way Intramuros was restored, describing it as a frozen in time.